we have lived this life. We've gone through the hills and the valleys and the roller coaster for you.
Yeah. I've ridden the ride.
Yeah, to let you know how it works, what doesn't work.
Right.
How to stop chasing the fad diets and chasing the fad workouts.
Right.
Because we've done it.
All of it. Maybe this will work and then you realize it won't. Or you're like, you know what, I'm going to try this 75 hard, keto, whatever it might be.
Right.
I think any well-rounded trainer, health coach, whatever, you have to dabble.
Yeah.
I don't think if you just stand on the hill of like, this is the right way, but I've tried none of the other ways, well then you're not relatable. You can't speak to any of that.
Mm-mm.
So yeah, I think we've been tried and true and we've tested it all.
Hi, and welcome back to Chillin with Ice. I'm your host, Lori Fetrick, and I'm the former American Gladiator, Ice Ice Baby.
We are Chillin with Ice.
Welcome back to Chillin with Ice, and I can't believe that we're already in December. This is mind-blowing. This year has gone by so incredibly fast, and it's been kind of like a whirlwind. I've been traveling. I've been doing Comic-Cons. My new book came out, and yes, I'm going to show you right here. My new children's book came out. It's called The Playground Warriors. You can find this in my store, which is icetshirts.com, as everybody knows, just like my shirt that I have on, Chillin with Ice. You can find that there as well. But get back to this book for just a quick second. The Playground Warrior is it's a children's book that I am super excited about, super proud of. This has been a work in progress for about a year. It's about fitness. It's about kids. It's about their imaginations, getting them outside, getting them off their tablets, playing and having a good time. And this is just one of I'd like to do a series about 4 or 5 of them, which is really cool. And let's see what else. I mean, this year has just been crazy. I know I talked about it before, signed with a new company, sponsor, and they are Vshred, which is just amazing. Which leads me to the next, and that is I met this wonderful, I want to say girl, but woman, I don't even know. I mean, it's like when you're in your 39, 40, is it a woman? Is it a girl?
I want to stay in like the girl category.
Exactly. That's what I thought. Exactly. Yeah. And we worked together and we just clicked and we talked about podcasting together. And her name is Ashley Randall, and I'm super excited to have her here today. We're going to talk about what she's up to, what she's doing, and the possibility of what we're going to be doing in the future. So let me get right into this. And Ashley, thank you so much for coming out today. And let's just talk about, what you've been doing and everything else. But before we go there, yes. I stalked your page, of course. Boy. I was stalking Instagram.
I love a good stalker, not a bad one. Don't be a bad creepy stalker.
Never. But also you have or had a podcast?
Yes.
Smash Talk.
Correct. I have a podcast, and I was just telling someone today, it's like in a coma. Like it's on bed rest, like it needs to get resurrected. So right. It's there. It's not dead, but it's not thriving. Yeah, it's on a hiatus.
But on that note, I was going through them, and this is what was fascinating to me, and I had to write this down because I knew I wasn't going to remember these things because there was just so much, and it was so cute and everything else, and that is some of the topics and some of the titles of your podcast. We went from bottle service, barbells, and no bitches.
Yep.
To let's see what else did we. To why hormones might be holding you back.
Yep.
And then you flip and you go sugar daddies and private jets. And then you go back to 4 reasons why you might not be seeing results. So
Bingo.
It's kind of, what I love about that is you're just kind of flipping all over the place and having fun with it.
Yeah, totally.
So what was your thought when you first got into doing
So
the podcast?
That is basically what it is. In my first intro episode, I say, this is a mixed bag. I don't want it to be so pigeonholed. And I think that's what kind of held me back from doing a podcast for a while is I didn't know if there was one thing that I always wanted to talk about. I don't always want to have to be the educator or the voice of reason. I don't always want to have to be, telling my glory day stories, whatever it might be. I want to be able to do it all.
I want to hear about your glory day stories, by the way.
We will. I'm sure we will dive into that. But also, I want people to come to where they can be entertained, but also educated.
Mhm.
You know, at least for me, the way I felt is there are some podcasts that I love, but sometimes I'm like, I just want to laugh. Like,
Yeah.
I just want to be in the car for 30 minutes and hear a story maybe that makes me laugh. Or maybe that day I do want to dive a little bit deeper and I do want to hear some information, some educational stuff, content. And so really that's what I just wanted it to be things that I'm passionate about. Because
So
I think
cool.
when you have to hit the mark, then it becomes tedious.
Yes.
Like today we have to talk about protein intake today. And then like next week, it's like, well, if I don't want to talk about that, then you're going to be able to tell right away
Right.
that I don't want to talk about it.
Right.
So yeah, it's a mixed bag, just such
I
as
love
life.
it. I absolutely love that. I really did.
Good.
Let's get into you. I want to know
Yes.
about your background because we did talk about this and we have worked together a few times and our personalities clicked. It was awesome. It was a lot of fun. But yet I don't know a lot about you.
Yeah, which is kind of fun.
I
It's like we
know.
get to know. Yeah. So I have been, we'll use the word obsessed, I guess, with working out since I was super young. I used to beg my friend's mom to take me with her to 24-hour fitness. Like when I was in junior high, like I didn't even know what I was doing, but I knew that like I wanted to go to the gym, whatever. And so then through playing sports for years, all of that type of stuff, I finally realized, oh, I can go to college and still go to college, essentially for working out.
Can I ask you one thing real quick?
Yeah.
When you said sports, what'd you play?
Soccer.
Really?
Yes. People are always very surprised by that.
You know what? The only reason I'm surprised about that is because I don't know. I just think of I don't know. We just didn't have it in high school a lot. I mean, it wasn't super popular when I was
Okay.
doing sports. I was
Yeah.
like softball, volleyball, basketball kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
And I watched soccer and I just went, wow, that's a lot of running.
Oh, so much running. It's so much running.
I was like, yeah, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But then it looked a lot of fun.
I think I got into it young enough that I didn't realize how much running it was.
Mhm.
And then as I got older, I was like, this is a lot of running.
You're like, oh, screw this shit.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't really know if I want to do that. But I was just actually saying this to somebody at Thanksgiving. I wish that someone would have put me in volleyball. I wish someone would have seen me.
You would have been amazing in volleyball. Your height. How tall are you?
Thank you. I'm 5'10".
Yeah.
I'm
You're-
like, hello, mom.
Yeah.
What were we doing? Like, why did no one be like, I think we should change her to a different sport. But no, so I played soccer. So
You
who
could have
knows?
went beach volleyball. You could have won Olympics.
I could have been in the motherfucking Olympics. Donna, hello, mother. Like, I mean, come on. Like, So I played soccer.
Regardless.
Exactly. Regardless, which was, shorter lived. I think when I got my freshman year of high school, stopped. Okay. So I played for, I don't know, 8 or 9 years. And then went to San Diego State for kinesiology, which again, I was like, oh, wait, I can work out and like learn how my own body works, which is a much more practical thing than like numbers and whatever.
Right.
I'm very fascinated by people, the way they think, the way they move, all of that. So did all of that. And then I have ran the gamut. I mean, if you can think of it, I've done it. Spin class, Pilates, coached CrossFit for 3 years, Olympic weightlifting, boxing, personal training, all of it. Been
So
there.
you've done it all. Been there,
all.
done that.
Yes.
Lived it.
Lived it, done it, coached it, seen it.
Okay, and that's our podcast today.
Yeah, goodbye. Thanks for tuning in. That's my life.
That's pretty fascinating, though.
Yeah.
You've left a couple things out. Let's talk about your childhood growing up.
Oh boy, here we go.
Let's just
Let's get it.
Well, we can just little things here and there because you do have a fascinating story with how you're growing up with your mom.
Yes,
Go.
I do. So I was raised by a single mom, and she had me as a single mom via artificial insemination, which I think now is way more popular.
Yeah,
But
definitely. Back then
almost-
it wasn't.
Yeah, almost 40 years ago, when she probably started this process of whatever the things she had to do, it was unheard of. I
Mm.
mean, basically to the point where the doctors were like, listen, lady, if this is kind of what you want to spend your money on,
Yeah.
like we'll keep entertaining you, but we don't really know like if this is going to work at her age. She was also almost 40.
Mhm.
So there was a lot of things that were like, okay, like cool experiment.
Try this
yeah, let's see what
out.
happens.
And voila.
And then it worked, and now I'm here, and it's perfect. And my crazy mother wanted no less than 6 and no more than 12 children.
Wow.
And she got me, so no pressure there.
Yeah.
But and then I was raised my whole life with no father. She was married and divorced twice before she had me. And by the time she had me, she was like, I want to be a mom. Like, that's really what she wanted to do, was just be a mom. And so she wasn't interested in dating and all of that. Obviously, it's not as easy as it is now,
How has
to
that
date.
impacted your life, not growing up with a father? Do you have daddy issues now?
How much time do we have? How much time do we have?
Okay, so
Probably
that's
not
a yes.
enough. Yes, it has.
Okay, so that's for another podcast.
Yes, totally. We can have a whole, we'll have a daddy issues episode. Yeah, I mean, the short of it is I never thought I had daddy issues because I wasn't the girl that was overly sexual. I never sought crazy male attention. So in my mind, I was like,
You were
I'm
fine.
I beat the odds here.
Yeah.
As I've gotten older, I've realized it has just been different. There have been other things. I have a hard time being in a relationship. I don't know what it's like to have, someone be there for you in like a male capacity, to ask for, like, it's manifested in much more of a hyper independence than I need your attention. I'm almost like, nah, I don't need your attention.
That's interesting because even me growing up with my father there, like all the time, he was kind of at a distance.
Okay.
So he took me fishing and I was his little tomboy,
Yeah.
but yet we didn't talk.
Yeah.
I mean, I just went with him and I
Right.
remember being with him, but I don't remember having conversations with him.
But you probably had different energy than with your mom, like more of like just like a comforting nurture, like a
No.
protective energy.
No.
No? Okay.
I know, right?
Okay.
I would like to say,
Yeah.
oh yeah, Ashley, absolutely. I was so, no. I mean,
And I've had people tell me that, people
Yeah.
that are like, hey, you could have had a dad and he could have been a complete asshole. He could have
Absolutely,
been terrible. He could, and I'm like,
absolutely.
yes, but it's still, it's
having that male figure there in your
Yes.
life.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Did,
Having
does
that.
your mom have any brothers or any?
No, she
Okay.
has an older sister. They're not super close. And because of just the lifestyle, she had already had kids. So her kids were like almost in college by the time I came around.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because, she had them when she was like in her early 20s.
Right.
And so by the time I'm here, it's like I kind of skipped even that whole like family aspect.
Mhm.
So yeah, it really has just been, my mom and I this whole time.
And your mom is now how old? This is
is-
how we bonded for a
Yes.
moment.
Well,
Yes.
I like to say she's almost 80. She's 78, but to me, that's almost 80.
Exactly. I think once you pass that 75 mark, you're 80.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She would be very disgruntled if she heard me say that.
know,
but
right?
yes, she's almost 80. And I just moved back in with her.
I was just going to say, you are living with her now. That's going to be.
So how many days a week can we come in here?
For
Right?
therapy. And also, you're Roddy.
Yes, my Roddy.
We
I
have
have
a lot in common, actually.
We do. We have a lot in common.
Yeah.
Both Roddy lovers. I
Yes.
have a 10-year-old Rottweiler. Her name's Carly, and she's the best. Every dog mom says that.
I know, right?
But yeah, she's been my rock for the last 10 years for sure, through some of the crazy shit that I've been through.
And then you look on camera and what are we wearing? How are we? Like two blondes. It's kind of
Right.
like that was me before my
know.
hair was cut.
It's like, oh, that's me. Okay, which is my angle? Oh, yeah, okay.
I know. But okay, so now let's get into how did Vshred find you?
Okay, so, I'm not going to toot my own horn, Lori.
Toot it.
But
We're in
Vince
a
just found
podcast
me.
setting.
Like,
Just-
Vince just straight up slid into my DMs.
this was his search. Hot, blonde, tall, fitness, oriented girl.
Right. And I was like, hi, it's me. Yeah, he literally slid into my DM. I thought it was a total scam.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. And he was like, blah, 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 blah. And I basically just put him on the spot. I was like, okay, like, if this is real, like, let's get on the phone. And he
Yeah.
was like, okay. And then we got on the phone. I'm like, oh.
You're like, oh, shit, this is
I'm
you.
like, there's a real person here. This isn't like a bot. And we talked to the phone. He explained it. And I would have
made him say this. Stop doing cardio.
Yeah, like proof of life, right?
Exactly.
Prove to me that you are the Vshred guy.
Exactly.
That would have been awesome.
I know.
That would have been awesome.
I know.
Yeah. And then I just went through, like the audition process of like them beta testing me.
Yeah.
And then it just kept going and going. And when I finally got it, I was so proud because it was one of those things that I didn't know I wanted until I wanted it. And I'm a very competitive person. And it's kind of out of your control,
What sign are you?
Sagittarius.
That's what I thought. Kind of figuring that. Yes, you're very competitive. You're a
Yes.
fire sign.
Yes.
And I can sit here and relate to everything you're saying.
Yeah.
And when I was in the beta testing, I'll be honest with you, I was like, I spoke with some of my friends. I was like, what if America doesn't like me?
Yes.
I go,
Thank
that's
you.
going to be a huge blow to my ego. Like, oh
Right.
my God.
Well, especially for you, because we're similar in the fact that, like, if you need to, you can just work out harder. You can get
Yes.
stronger. You can
Yes.
lose weight. You can do all the things.
Everything was in my control.
And it doesn't. That was one of the first things Vince said. He's like, I don't care how hot you are, how many followers you have, how whatever. He's like, if you don't convert, it doesn't matter.
Right.
And so that was the pressure where you're like, oh, so yeah, it doesn't mean run faster, lift more,
Yeah.
be anything. It's like, oh shit, like they have to like me.
Yeah.
Like,
You.
I
Your
have
personality,
to speak
who
to
you
that.
are.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it
Be
really
relatable,
was. When
be
I got
this,
it, I
be
was like, I
that.
did it. Okay.
Yeah.
Like America's
Thank you,
really
America.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
And I know I felt the same way. And, my friends were like, yeah, but you were ice on the American Gladiators. I go, it doesn't matter.
Right.
I go, that was a whole different platform.
Totally.
I was out tackling and kicking ass and jousting,
Right.
and that's a whole different story. But now we're going into the whole fitness realm and the wellness. And I mean, I've lived it.
For
This
sure.
has been my
sure.
life from the time I was same thing. I mean, playing sports and, in high school all the way, growing up, and I never quit. And it's like, you want to convince America going, this is me, this is my lifestyle. I've lived this. Listen to me. I know my shit. But yet,
Right.
there is that chance
Yeah.
that
It's
they
gotta
might
come
go,
across.
eh.
Yeah. It's not like the gym where you can, show up tomorrow and have a better workout. Like,
Yes.
if you didn't deliver the line right and that's the ad, that they run and it doesn't convert, you're
Yeah.
like, oh, well, should I have inflicted my voice this? It's like all of the things where you're like, can I
We
just
get
have a redo?
so in our heads, especially when we're competitive.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's
sure.
really interesting. That is so exciting, though. I mean, the opportunity that is in front of us is amazing, and I'm
Huge.
super, super grateful. And I'm super grateful that America, same thing, has
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. But going forward, I mean, you and I think that we have some really good synergy. I mean, your knowledge of fitness and health, you have your programs.
Yeah.
You actually have coaching programs on is
I
it just
do.
for your Instagram, or where else do you have that?
I have a website, so ashleyrandallfitness.com. Yeah, but I had a mentor that like really pushed me. He was like, so what's the deal? Like, you can't be like the hot trainer forever. Like, eventually there's going to be a hotter
Why
trainer
not?
that comes along.
Why, really?
And yeah, I'm
No.
like, don't burst my bubble. And so he really was like pushing me to do something else in my business, to stop trading dollars for hours.
Mhm.
And I started that the January before COVID. I started building this whole program, film the videos, all the nutrition, all the macros, all the stuff. And then so that way when COVID came, I didn't know. But when it came, I was like, wow, I'm so glad that I have this.
Right.
Because gyms were closed.
Mhm.
My income immediately would have just dried up.
Yes.
And
Mhm.
so to have these programs where I can still coach people, take them through 12-week, programs, wherever you are, whether you're at the beginning, whether you're, comfortable with the barbell, whatever, was a godsend. And so that has really become, and I get to work with more people,
Yeah.
than your little teeny, like 10-mile radius in San Diego where I was living
Right.
at the time. So that's been really cool.
Well, also online, you can train, anywhere from 1 to 500.
Correct.
Rather than in the gym, your hours are very limited.
Yes.
So that was a big thing for me as well. I started a program when I was 50, which was about 10 years ago. And I was going to be the hot 50-year-old trainer that I was going to blow the program up.
Yes.
And it was challenging because I didn't realize how much you had to put into the online.
Yes.
I mean, I had my app. I actually created
Yes.
an app with all the fitness
is expensive.
exercises. Oh yeah, 100%. Or you could put yourself into, let's say, there are apps out there that had the templates, and you
Correct.
could just boom, 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 and just throw yourself in there. It was
Right.
really easy. I kind
Yeah.
of started that one
Okay.
first, but I never had anybody with me. I didn't have that. I mean, I always had a cheerleader.
Yeah.
I always had, my girlfriend or my mom or somebody behind me, my sister, cheering me. But it was never that one person,
Mhm.
that you could play off of
Yeah.
and have fun with and build something together. And I think that's when we started talking about podcasting. I was like, Ashley,
Bingo.
what do you think?
Yeah.
Because I listened to your podcast, and man, girl, you can talk, and I love it.
Thank you.
And yeah, you can carry a conversation on by yourself for 30 minutes.
Thank you.
But I'm sure it gets tiring.
It does. It gets tiring, and there's just times that I feel like, just like anything, where it would just be more fun.
We could use that word.
Okay, it'd be funner if someone else was there, if someone else laughed, or they asked a question, or they were like, oh, tell me about this.
Tell me more about that.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't even think to say more about
Yes.
that, versus just reliving the story, or just educating on the topic. Because then what I might say, you might say, oh, well, I've experienced a different thing, or I can relate to that, whatever. And again, going back to like even the inner child thing, it's like, I feel like I've done so much of life alone that it does get tiring. It gets boring, where you're like, but I want to do something fun. I want to have my little sidekick. Like, I want to do that. To share in the highs and the lows with, when it's like, oh man, things aren't going well, or dude, we are freaking crushing it, and this is so exciting. Like, I can celebrate, versus, hey, good job. Like, hit your sales quota again this month, like.
Yeah, exactly.
That can feel lonely sometimes.
It does.
Yeah.
Do you ever notice that, like, being the only child, I mean, a lot of that is your life? I mean, like, yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Which there's a part of me that loves that. I am the person that I am because of that. I am independent. I can do all of these things on my own, entertain myself, spend time alone. But then there's also part of me that's like, wow, what would it feel like? Like when I see siblings sometimes, I'm like, what is it like to have that
a sister
person
that you can beat up on?
Yeah, who you can beat up on, who beat up on you, who just has your back, who you can share secrets with, who you like, whatever. And I know it goes both ways.
And it's funny because people have those kind of like, I don't want to call that a fantasy, but yet it's
it might be
possibly.
Yeah.
But my girlfriend's an only child as well, and so she's very comfortable spending time alone, and give her space. And I'm the, I don't know, I love being around people. And even
how many siblings do you have?
One.
Okay.
And she's 3 years older than I am.
Okay.
And when we grew up, we weren't super close,
Because 3 years is still pretty close in
But she was like, she wanted her friends, and she didn't want, she was
Yeah,
too cool for
she's
me.
too
She didn't
cool.
want me hanging out with her, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But as we've gotten older, we've gotten closer,
Okay.
definitely,
Okay.
because of, family issues
Yeah.
and dad, passing away and stuff like that, and taking care of our mom, So now my mom's 84, and so we're both kind of like, okay, how do we do this?
Right.
And
Is
more.
she here?
Yeah,
Okay.
she lives in Torrance. But the
Okay.
funny thing is that you're gonna laugh. This is what we argue about. I'm not taking mom. You're taking mom. No, I'm not taking mom. You're taking.
See, at least you have someone to argue with. I'm over here like, anyone? Okay, well, I guess I'll be the one to go because
Okay, I'll
there's
give
no
you
one.
that. You're absolutely right. That can be very lonely.
It
at
is.
times. I get that.
Or it's like, hey, can someone convince her that she's going, like, she's crazy? Like,
yeah.
But when it's just me, it's like, Ashley, don't. I'm like, maybe someone else can be the voice of reason here.
Right.
Like, could I tap somebody else in? No, there's
We
no
have
one.
so many subjects that we can talk about, and here's the cool thing, and we talked about this too. It's like we can get to know each other here on the podcast,
Yes.
which is
Yeah,
fun.
which is really cool.
So this is what we're thinking, okay? And so we're kind of playing this out a little bit, and we're feeling it out a little bit. If this synergy really works, which I'm feeling that it does, that we can go forward and do more podcasts together.
Yes.
And we can keep the podcast entertaining and fun, and yet still dive into the health and the fitness and the wellness. And, you've lived the life. I've lived the life. Let's talk just for a brief moment, hormones. You're in perimenopause.
Yes.
I'm past menopause. What is there a word for past menopause, beyond menopause?
Living the dream. I feel like now you're like, now it's like you're on cruise control. Like,
yes,
I don't know.
actually
I've talked to some women that are past menopause, and they're like, this is what's up. Like,
yes.
This is when things level out. This is when, like, you can feel your best, look your best, train your best.
Yes.
Like, if you do the right things leading up to that,
100%.
there are definitely women that are loving this stage of life more than all the years of hormones.
I have to be honest with you. I'm watching my girlfriend go through the perimenopause stage right now.
Okay.
The hot flashes, the fuzzy headedness. I mean, all these different, symptoms. And I kind of feel like I'm having the symptoms along with her, believe it or not, it is.
Yeah.
It kind
You're
of
having like the what they like when the person's pregnant.
Yes.
And then like the sympathies.
There you go, the sympathy symptoms.
Yeah.
And so I'm watching this, I'm like going, oh, I am so happy I'm past this.
You're like, I promise it gets better.
But yet there are times that you still, because my body is still promoting like maybe 10%, a little less of hormones still.
Okay.
So I'm still feeling different things. And so
Yeah.
we get to talk about that.
Yeah.
And the other side and what you're going through and what we can, really dive into these subjects
Right.
and have great conversations about. And I'm very excited about that.
I'm excited too. I think there needs to be a space where it can be relatable.
Mm-hmm.
It can be motivational, inspirational. I mean, whatever kind of word you want to put on that, but also super real.
Yes.
Like, I know we have talked about this just briefly, but like you and I have been on the hunt for this for a while. Like this is our lifestyle.
Yes.
We aren't the comeback story. We aren't the I lost 50 pounds and now I'm
pounds.
here. It's, hey, this is what it's like to make decisions and to live a fun life, but also to like put yourself first. And like, this is where you can go when you do that, health-wise, whatever. And I think that there needs to be more of that.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. I think that sometimes it can get very caught up in the here and now.
Absolutely.
And it's like, okay, I hear that, but what is, 40-year-old you going to think, 50-year-old, 60-year-old, 70-year-old?
Right.
Even just recently, my training has kind of changed where I'm doing a lot more mobility. I'm doing a lot more stuff that is foundationally better for me. And some days it's annoying, but then I think, man, 50, 60, 70-year-old Ashley is going to be so much more grateful that I'm doing this and I'm not breaking records in the gym and then have this like hunchback and these
Yeah.
Okay, like we got to think about some of that stuff.
You do. You have to incorporate all of that into your training. And, we are very, here's the thing, to be honest with you, we are very relatable in the sense of we have lived this life. We've gone through the hills and the valleys and the roller coaster for you.
Yeah. I've ridden the ride.
Yeah. To let you know how it works, what doesn't work.
Right.
How to stop chasing the fad diets and chasing the fad workouts,
right.
Because we've done it.
All of it.
Yes.
Whether it was
I've
because I
tried
believed it or because I needed to test it. I've done
Yes,
it all. Exactly.
exactly.
Where I'm like, maybe this will work. And then you realize it won't. Or you're like, you know what? I'm going to try this 75 hard, keto, whatever it might be.
Right.
Because you have, I think any well-rounded trainer, health coach, whatever, you have to dabble.
Yeah.
I don't think if you just stand on the hill of like, this is the right way, but I've tried none of the other ways, well then you're not relatable. You can't speak to any of that.
Mm-mm.
So yeah, I think we've been tried and true and we've tested it all, whether I wanted to or not.
I know. And we are here to talk about it, and tell
survived.
you all about it. And exactly. So one last thing I want to ask you before we go today, we're going to kind of wrap this up a little bit because there's some other things that I really want to get into.
Yeah.
Did you ever compete? Did you ever have a desire
In like fitness?
Yeah.
Okay.
Bikini competitions or
I
the
have
physical
not.
None
the
of
amount
those?
of people,
Tell me
I
why.
could probably retire for the amount of people that have asked me that over the years.
I'm
yes.
sure.
I
If
used
I
to
had
train,
a nickel.
Yeah. If I used to train in a bodybuilding gym in San Diego called The Gym. And no, it used to be called Worlds. Yeah, now it's called The Gym. Anyway, going back almost kind of to the Vshred thing, I am very competitive.
Mhm.
And so that's where I have found my outlet in things like, which we'll, touch on, amateur boxing. I played in the LFL, the Lingerie Football League for a couple years, like doing CrossFit competitions, triathlons, things like that, where I feel like I can really push. So to stand up on a stage in that moment to me feels, I don't know, like the
You're
girl next to
super-
me, I might be like,
you're
bitch, I can
super
still do more
vulnerable.
push-ups than you.
Yeah, you're super vulnerable standing there because you're
Yeah.
actually having somebody else, like 5 judges.
Yeah.
You have no idea who they are,
Right.
judging your physique
Correct.
in every aspect.
And they're like,
therein.
I don't know. I don't actually like the way her shoulders look. And you're like,
And who's to say that you didn't remind them of an ex-girlfriend, an ex-wife, or something that they're like, oh God, no, boom,
Totally
she's out.
true.
And so it's not.
Yeah.
It's not really. I always looked at this and went, this is really not a fair competition.
bingo.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I competed in the female bodybuilding, actually.
I want to hear all about
before there
that.
was bikini, before there was like 20 other different divisions, one division, and that was female bodybuilding,
And that is like the supreme, because I feel like some of the other divisions, not to take away from them, but it can be a more softer look. It can be a little bit easier to achieve. But when I think of like bodybuilding, like you have got to be dialed in.
We're talking from absolutely all the way until you walk on that stage. I made a few mistakes once in a while, and I had no idea. I found out I was lactose intolerant, had no idea.
Wow.
My coach the night before one of my competitions, I was going in the nationals. He goes, you can have whatever you want. You can eat whatever you want.
That literally just gave me the chills.
Loved cold cereal.
Oh,
that was my thing.
Gosh.
And so I had cold cereal the night before. I was lactose intolerant, and wham, it put a layer of water all over my body that I woke up the next morning and looked in the mirror, and I literally, and I'm not even joking, just stood there and cried.
I was going to say I would start crying.
I mean, for 3 months, I busted my ass.
See?
And then that one moment on the lips,
for
forever
the cereal.
on the hips.
I know.
For cold cereal. Anyway,
I mean,
that's
cold
for
cereal is
another
pretty
time.
good. Yeah. To be continued.
To be continued.
Yeah.
Ashley Randall, I'm very excited about this. I think that we might have something going here. And I just wanted to, our first episode here, bring you on and let's see where it goes, get a little bit more into who you are.
Yes.
And there's so much more to you. Amateur boxing. I mean, all these different things. I mean, I got to hear about all these things.
Yeah, I'll tell you all about them.
Awesome. Everyone, thank you so much for listening to Chillin' with Ice. My name is Lori Fetrick. This is Ashley Randall. And this is where legends live on. Until next time. Thank you so much for listening to Chillin' with Ice. And don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and share wherever you listen to your podcast. Remember to follow us on Patreon and YouTube at Chillin' with Ice. And on Instagram and TikTok, you can follow me at lori.ice.fetrick. I look forward to chilling with you next time here on Chillin' with Ice.